actually going to get in. And let me do that again. Welcome to an esoteric podcast where we talk about things mainstream don't talk about. So today we're going to be talking about diabetes, something that actually is devastating to a lot of our people in our community, specifically African Americans. It's very interesting after reading some of the statistics about diabetes, and who's got it, and diabetes type 1 and type 2, who has it the most, who's susceptible to getting it the most. Like, for instance, the largest people that get diabetes in this country are African Americans first, Latino Americans, and then Native Americans, while Europeans are the least to get it. However, with that said, when it comes to type 1 diabetes, Europeans get it the most, because you're apparently type 1 diabetes is a autoimmune disease, something we're going to get into today. You know, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to cover a whole lot about type 1, type 2, and pre-diabetes, actually. And we're going to discuss about what are some of the symptoms, for instance, like high blood pressure, extreme hunger, blurred vision, urinating a lot, sores heal slowly. It also affects your sex drive, ED. For women, however, it can affect having urinary tract infection, yeast infections. So it's a whole lot of things here. And once you got diabetes and if you don't treat it right, you can lose your eyes, you can lose a limb, you can lose a toe or a finger. So, you know, we're going to go in on this. We're going to be talking about the diet, the sugar, what type of sugar, and what is sugar, actually. And so we're going to go in on that subject. Also, we're going to be talking about other things that are how to heal it. And can you heal type 1? And can you heal or type 2? Now, of course, we can't use the word cure, but we definitely can use the word heal, healing type 2 diabetes. And we're going to talk whether or not can we cure type or heal type 1 diabetes. Okay. But before I get started, I definitely want to thank those that helped to make this happen. First, Attorney Carl Price with Conscience Fever, Ice Entertainment Radio. That brother's doing it really well in that podcast that he's putting out. Also, sometimes you can see me paying him a visit. Also with Joe Tapper with the Tipping Point Morning Show, which comes on every Saturday morning, where he is the host and I am the co-host of that show. And a lot of times we have a lot of fun, so come and join us. Frank Stoner with Health Daddy Wow here in Louisville, Kentucky. Look him up if you don't know nothing about him. healthdaddywow.com, or is it .net? I don't know. I got to check it out. And also Kari Muhammad with Incredible. The guy does a lot of graphics. He definitely helps me out in my show here. Couldn't do it without him and his very creative works that he puts down. Also, Phyllis Myers, aka Sayatia Emmanuel with Body Energy Works. If you want your body worked on and you need some serious healing, you should go to her and get on her table. I guarantee you'll feel like a new person once you get up. And also my brother and my doctor, Dr. Akmal Muwwakkil, and who is also the author of Sweet Mysteries of Life. And that's the book about diabetes. We're going to go in. Actually, that's the brother that I'm going to have, and we're going to have this discussion. Listen, this podcast is free. We send it to you for many reasons, so that people can get some information. Like I said, that what we're trying to bring is what the mainstream media is not going to show you. So with that, what I try to do basically is pour love into my information and what we're giving out. So, and it's for you. I ain't doing this for me, right? So show your love back by clicking like, sharing, and come on in and comment with us if you got any questions. Now, if you are dealing with diabetes, or you know a loved one that's dealing with diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2, you want to be here. And you want to tag them in here to get this information. Also, Dr. Akmal will be having a class coming up on the 15th on his webinar teaching about So I think it's a 2-week class, I believe. Let me see. Let me check that out. I believe it's a 2-week class. Anyway, I will definitely be tagging him in with his information where you can go and sign up to get inside that class and learn all you can learn about diabetes type 1 and type 2. All right. So let's go in. Let's get in the doctor and let's get this discussion rolling. Hey, Doc. Let me unmute you. How
Hey,
you doing, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I am awesome, man. I'm glad you're building with me on this subject. So listen, let's go in, man. Type 1, type 2, and pre-diabetes, man. Where do we go with that? How do we start this?
Well, the first thing we got to look at is the factor is, diabetes has to do with the sweetness of life. Okay. And I want people to write that down because we're going to get into that piece. Because, see, what we look at, what Western medicine looks at, it looks at the chemical abilities of the body to uptake sugar. Whether it's type 1 where the pancreas is not really working and it becomes an autoimmune deficiency syndrome that allows for the body to think its own body is an enemy and starts to work against it. And then you have type 2, which could be insulin resistant, where the pancreas is putting out insulin, but the body is not extracting the insulin so that the glucose can get into the cells. And then when you start talking about you're talking about people who have their numbers, their glucose numbers, which is sugar numbers, are up, but they're not too high for them to say, well, you have diabetes. But the other piece of that also has to do with the mind-body connection, spirit connection. And that's the piece that most of Western medicine doesn't deal with. Okay. Western medicine, which is called allopathic medicine, only deals with the chemical relationship of the body. And they deal with the symptoms and not the root cause. Seeing the root cause can go all the way back to grandpa and grandma. Or further, especially when they start talking about it being genetic. So somebody way in the bloodline had it. It could stem from just you because of the factor that, you're in a society where the food is not up to standards. And that's also including organic food. See, because people think they're eating organic food, that they're eating the best food, and not necessarily.
Right.
So it stems from that. But its biggest place that it stems from is digestion. See, and when we understand the process of digestion, and that's what I teach first in the course. The first thing the first week of the course, we talk about digestion. But we also talk about the fact that, you got to understand, because let me go over here and then roll back there, because the medical society talks about it as a metabolic syndrome. And so when you're talking about metabolics, you're talking about the breaking down of one substance into a smaller molecule. And that's what happens with food. Food is to be broken down into smaller molecules so that the body can extract the nutrients from it in order for the cells, the blood, the tissues, and the organs to function to their optimum. But what happens is that the breakdown of digestion doesn't happen properly. And so because it doesn't happen properly, now we begin to have the syndromes. Hypertension works within the compounds of diabetes. Cardiovascular disease have to do with how you digest and absorb nutrients. Weight, overweight, obesity, as you talked about as you came in. All of those, fibromyalgia, arthritis, Alzheimer's, all of those are in that lane. When you start to talk about things like arthritis, lupus, those kinds of Crohn's disease, those fall under the category, begin to fall under the category of the body's not being able, the immune system not being able to function to its optimum. So now the body starts to attack itself. When, for instance, with lupus, and I just want to put this in there, with lupus, the body, the immune system attacks itself to the point where you can't enhance the immune system. Mm-hmm. And so when you start talking about type 1 is in that group. And you know, according to medical science, type 1 is insulin, is where you have to inject insulin into your body because the pancreas, the beta cells and the alpha cells of the pancreas are not making insulin. So now, if there's no insulin, then that means that the blood is not able to uptake the glucose. The liver is not able to work in terms of glycogen, which now aids with the glucose in order for it to get into the cells. So, you know, you're basically talking about chemical reactions. And as I always talk about the fact that we're chemists and our body is a chemistry factory. And if we don't deal with balancing the chemistry within the body, then the body's going to go on its own direction. And in terms of diabetes, it's going to make it so that now your body's not getting, the sugar's not being uptake by the cells. So now the adipose tissue is the fatty tissue. Now that sugar aligns itself with that adipose tissue. So now we start talking about gaining what? Weight. Mm-hmm. And so that continues on and on and on and on. You know.
Let me ask you a question about type 1 diabetes. Now, so you can be born with type 1 diabetes, correct?
Absolutely.
That will come from the inheritance from your family.
It could come from inheritance from your family, or it could come from the fact that your mother had issues during her pregnancy. If she has I want to say post-diabetes, that's not what I want to say. If she has gestational diabetes, you could wind up having a problem with diabetes. If your mother has other types of issues that have to do with blood, that have to do with take up of nutrients, you could wind up having type 1 diabetes. You don't have to get it from your mama.
Okay.
When I did the research for my book, I found real interesting. Well, it wasn't interesting because, you know, I knew that it could have implications on health, but it was either Georgetown or George Washington, and I don't remember which one of those universities it was. Their study talked about cow's milk and diabetes. And they talked about it caused inner ear infections, runny noses, and type 1 diabetes, cow's milk. Michael Murray, he's a well-known nutritionist. He's written several books. He talks about the factor of the Finland study. The Finland study was where, after the child was born, they gave the child cow's milk and monitored them. They found that a large number of the children wound up having type 1 diabetes. So, that cow's milk isn't for people, it's for cows. It's for calves. We continue to think that we're going to get vitamin D from it. Why do you think that they say it's enriched with vitamin D? They put the vitamin D in there synthetically.
A question. Okay, so type 1 diabetes is it caused by having the autoimmune disease? Is that so? An autoimmune disease can cause diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's. So then you can be born with autoimmune disease, and then you can end up having type 1 diabetes because your insides are actually attacking yourself.
Absolutely. You see, anytime the body's immune system thinks that a foreign object has come into the body, it works to get rid of it. It works to eradicate it. Within the compounds of it eradicating it, what happens? What happens is that now it starts a war. That war, which the leukocytes, which are the white blood cells, that war now goes on against what it thinks is a foreign particle in the body. That's like the onset of a cold. What happens? What happens is your nose starts running. Mm-hmm. Why does your nose start running? Your nose starts running because now the leukocytes are saying, oh, wait a minute, hold on. This is a foreign entity in here. Let me get rid of this. The reason that it goes on is because once we let it into its cycle, then what happens is that now you have a full-blown cold. But the beginning of that is the leukocytes trying to get rid of whatever it is that's come into your system.
That's like a form of a detox, correct?
Precisely.
Okay.
You see, and so when you start talking about autoimmune deficiencies, they attack certain different things. In type 1, the autoimmune deficiency syndrome attacks the cells of the pancreas, which now causes the pancreas not to be able to manufacture insulin, which is part of the factor that now that means that there's an issue with the endocrine system. The endocrine system has to do with our hormones. Insulin is a hormone.
Yes, right.
And so when we start looking at the factor of what the endocrine system does, endocrine system is real powerful. And when you look at it different than the way that they look at it, you'll see how powerful it is. Because the endocrine system has to do with the factor of what keeps us going and how it keeps us going within the cells. But it also has to deal with the factor of how we connect to our spirituality. Because that's what the pineal gland does. That's what the pituitary gland does. The pituitary gland is the primary gland. It has to do with growth hormones. It has to do with those hormones. The thyroid. Some people get diabetes because they have a thyroid problem. Hypothyroidism. That can cause them to have diabetes because of the factor that now the endocrine system is not moving. That's what happened. When you go to see a doctor for diabetes, you're going to see an endocrinologist. That's what they do. They're the ones who deal with the factor of how this diabetes is happening. And so they deal with the symptoms and not really with what's causing it. And that's even in type 1, what's causing it. So if we can manage it, then let's do that. But when we start talking about healing it, we have to go to more levels than just well, here, take these pills and walk on and do your thing. We have to understand that diabetes, whether type A or type 2, is, and including gestational, is nutritional deficiencies. When you put certain nutrients into the body, what will happen is it will assist the cells to uptake glucose. It will assist the pancreas in its ability to secrete the hormone insulin. So that what happens now is that now the cells is taking place. But on another note, it's about the sweetness of life. You know, what people don't realize who have diabetes is that if you stand next to them and you just take a good whiff of them, they smell sweet. And that's without perfume or deodorant or any of that kind of stuff. Now, some of them, you know, they do need a little deodorant, but others, you know, they got that sweetness going on. And so when you smell that, that's exactly what it is. When they urinate, they're urinating sugar because the body's trying to get rid of the sugar, which now begins to cause issues with the liver as well as the kidneys. One of the biggest things that happens to people who have diabetes is dialysis. And if you notice in the community, dialysis is on almost every corner. You have a church on one corner, you got a liquor store on the other corner, you got a dialysis center on the third corner. Why? Because of the fact that, I forgot to mention, you got on the fourth corner, you got the fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go and you pray, you go get drunk, you go get your kidneys worked on, and you go get some bad food. And so all of those is what causes diabetes to happen. You're talking about enzymatics. You're talking about the enzymatic process. One of our biggest things is the fact that we drink and eat at the same time. That drinking and eating breaks down the digestive process. And so as it breaks down the process, what happens now is that now the enzymes that's supposed to break down the food are watered down so that they can't break down the food.
Let me hold up a second. I'm hearing an echo also, but give me a thumbs up, y'all, if y'all can hear clear. I'm seeing that some people are having auto problems, and I'm looking around. I don't see if it's on our side or not. So just give me a thumbs up if everyone is getting information or they can hear clearly. Okay, I don't hear the echo no more. Okay, so just a thumbs up would be cool. Okay, so let's go to type 2 diabetes. Let me switch to that.
So type 2 diabetes is, first off, type 1 is juvenile onset. That's type 1.
Okay.
Type 2 is adult onset. However, we are now starting to see our children with type 2 diabetes.
Earlier and earlier.
Earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And these are children that didn't have diabetes. But it's because of the fact that they're suffering from malnutrition. We have to understand the fact that diabetes is about malnutrition. That's what's happening with type 2 diabetes. You're talking about insulin resistance in a lot of cases. What does that mean? That means that the pancreas has the ability to manufacture insulin and secrete it. But the cells are not able to uptake it. So it lays in the blood, which now increases the sugar in your blood. Sugar is corrosive. It's very corrosive because it's acidic. So if that's the case, just think about the fact of what it's doing to your blood, to your bloodstream. So now when sugar clumps together, it causes what? It causes things like cholesterol. It can cause blockages. It causes the body to not have the energy that it needs. That's why a lot of the people who have diabetes and type 2, they know damn well they ain't supposed to be eating no damn sugar.
That's
They
right.
know they ain't.
So when we talk about sugar, of course, we're talking about glucose because that's the energy that the body turns it into, just like alcohol and just like starchy foods. Now, is there we got processed sugar and we got natural sugar just from a fruit. Is if a person just ate natural sugar, would they still be affecting or have an effect on their diabetes?
Well, no matter what kind of sugar you intake, it's going to affect your blood. It's going to affect the glucose levels.
Okay.
Because it's a chemical. It's about what the liver can do. Can the liver transform it into glucose or glycogen, or can the pancreas secrete enough insulin to break it down so that it uptakes in the cells? When we start talking about refined sugar, which is white sugar, we're talking about straight up acid. Okay, we're talking straight up acid. We're not talking about anything other than acid. We're talking about a corrosive substance. When we talk about fruit sugar, we're talking about a little more alkalinity, which could help it to get into the system. But as a diabetic, you can't eat a whole lot of fruit because of the fact that's still going to elevate your blood sugar level. See, the issue gets to do this. So if you, me, and two other people went out and they were diabetics, and we ate, and then we ate fruit afterwards, and then we took our blood sugar levels, all of them would be elevated because the body hadn't broken anything down yet. Within 2 hours later, yours and mine would have come down, where theirs still might have been high because of the fact that the body wasn't able to break down the sugar. So now what happens is that now they either have to take some medicine, they have to take some herbs, or they have to do something, exercise or something to get it down. So when you start talking about eating fruit and you have diabetes, you want to eat fruits that are not real sweet or able to move through the system. Apples have pectin. Pectin helps absorb the sugar so that it moves through the body. Pineapple, it not only has fiber, but it also has things like bromelain, an enzyme that's going to help to balance the glucose. When you eat watermelon or melons, and especially watermelon, that's too sweet for a diabetic. So they're gonna have an issue with that. So it's about the balance of the fruits that you're eating, and you can't eat them a lot. If you eat grapes, you need to eat grapes. First off, all those fruits you need to eat in their season. You can go to my website and you get a food chart that will show you what foods to eat in each season. Second, you need to eat those fruits in their proper combination. That's the other piece that has to do with diabetes. People don't eat in combinations. We just throw all the food together and eat it all at one time. So when you're eating fruits in that manner, when in fruit salads, you're mixing the fruits, and you're mixing the energy of the fruits, and you're mixing them in such a way where they may not be complementary. So if they're not complementary, then what happens? What then begins to happen is that now the body don't know what to do with it, and you got too much, you wind up with too much sugar. So on my program and in my protocol, you can eat some fruits, like a pear, an apple, that kind of thing. You could eat a peach, okay, because a peach is full of sugar. But you might be able to eat a plum, which is a stone fruit, which now is going to give you energy that you need. However, the peach is too sweet, especially ripe peaches. Berries. Berries are good, but you can't eat a lot of them because they're sweet. The berry that you should eat more so would be the blueberry or bosoberry, a dark berry. Because not only does it have sugar, but it has anthocyanidins, which are also going to turn into antioxidants, which now is going to help your immune system to fight for you. But again, you can't take a lot of those. If you're a diabetic, the first thing that I do with you is I put you on a green eating habit or eating habit. Because you want to balance the blood. You want to balance the blood in terms of how you go about bringing that sugar down first before you start adding all these other things to it. You know, we like to eat, but we don't know how to eat. That's why you have diabetes. Because of the fact that we really don't know how to eat.
Let me bring this in. It's very interesting about the foods, and of course, for a lot of people that's listening, so what your pancreas does, it sends out the insulin every time you eat food. The pancreas recognizes that you're eating food. It sends out insulin so that it can lower the sugar content before it goes into the bloodstream.
Especially if you're eating foods that have sugar.
Sugar, right. So now I came across some information where if you are, and here's what happens when the pancreas sends out the insulin, once it sends out enough, the chemical sends a signal back to the pancreas to shut down. Okay, stop shooting the insulin, shut down.
Glucosylation, yeah.
Yes. So, but if you're eating foods that are insulin resistant, it never sends a signal back to the pancreas to shut down, causing your pancreas to overwork and blow out.
Right. Absolutely. Because of the factor that here's where the liver gets involved. The liver, which has to synthesize everything that everything that goes on in the body. The liver maintains and manufactures glycogen. Glycogen is used so that when there's low glucose, the liver then will manufacture glucose out of the glycogen in order for the body to have glucose. If the pancreas is constantly secreting, the liver then doesn't function in a manner of excuse me, something else is happening over here. It doesn't function in the manner of the body being able to extract the nutrients. So because the body isn't able to extract the nutrients, then what happens is then what happens is Okay, my thing went south on me. So what happens is that when the when the liver isn't able to function in the manner that it should, what it will do is it will shut down and not aid in the processing of that sugar. And so with that happening, now it's not connecting to the pancreas so that the pancreas is able to upload the sugar into the cells. The bottom line of that is the fact that that's happening because of nutritional deficiencies.
Hmm.
You know, you're talking about things like chromium, vitamin C, and vitamin C we have to put in our body because vitamin C doesn't stay in the body. We urinate it out. And so because we urinate it out, what happens? What begins to happen is that now with that urination of the vitamin C out, now the immune system isn't protected. And with the immune system not being protected, now the body is in a place where the blood isn't being protected, and the blood now isn't being protected. So with that not happening, now you're not getting magnesium into the cells. You're not getting chromium into the cells. And when you're not getting those into the cell, what now begins to happen is that now your body finds itself having more sugar in the blood. But it's about nutritional deficiencies.
When people get to the stream where they end up having to have something amputated or taken off, or a toe or something, what causes that? And what extreme did they get to that? Well, they wasn't taking their insulin, taking too much insulin?
The issue gets to be is the fact that they weren't being cognizant of the fact that they needed to eat right.
Okay.
And so the acidity of the sugar, the glucose, that acidity started to break down the cells of the body. So they also can wind up with neuropathy. Neuropathy is the tingling and numbness of the feet, which now that means that now from and I'm gonna use the word chi, and chi is energy. Now the chi isn't moving the body fluids, the blood, into the feet, and the nervous system isn't functioning. And so because of that, now what's happening is that now you got all of that heat, and that heat now is causing the nervous system to function in the manner that is causing the pins and needles in the feet. So when you start looking at the factor that sugar in the manner of glucose is lodged in your blood. Think about this. If you've ever seen the corrosion around a battery in a car, think about that in your blood. When you look at what that corrosion is doing, that corrosion is eating away at the metal that is on the battery. That's what's happening to the cells. The cells are not getting nutrients, so the cells can't uptake the sugar. So because the cells can't uptake the glucose, now the glucose lines itself there, and so now you got syrup for blood. And if you ever had some pancakes or something of that nature, and you put that syrup on them, you eat them and they thick. That's what happens to your blood. And so the blood now is not circulating. So now the heart starts to slow down. The liver isn't aiding in the extraction of the nutrients and dealing with the glycogen. and the glucose, the pancreas is secreting because of the fact that all it knows is that when that chemical comes in, that's its job. And so what happens is that most people who are diabetics, they eat too many carbs, and they eat too many refined carbs. So when you eat white rice and pasta, that's straight up sugar.
What is refined carb?
Refined carbs are carbs that are made out of white flour products that have been, for instance, wheat, but they've extracted the wheat out of it. So when you start talking white rice, where they take some rice and that's brown, and they extract the polish off of the rice, and they say you the polish over here and the white rice over here. That's what refined carbs are. If you're eating carbs, you need to eat carbs that are like brown rice, black rice. If you're eating pasta, it should be buckwheat pasta because buckwheat is neutral. Wheat, this is the time of the year to eat wheat, because wheat grows in the fall and the wintertime. You don't eat it then. That's when it makes the snots. Strawberries. Person asking about strawberry. Strawberry is a very good berry. It is. It's a very good berry. Full of antioxidants, phytonutrients, all of that. But it's full of sugar. If you get a ripe strawberry, it's full of sugar. So yeah, you could eat it, but you can eat only a little bit of it. What about peppers? I'm going to go back to the carbs in a minute. What about peppers? If you have pain, peppers should not be eaten because they have silanine acid in them, which increases pain. If you don't have pain, you can eat them because of the fact that they're going to help increase some of the chemistry of the blood, and especially red peppers. Now, if you take in cayenne is different because of the hot heat it has in it. But you don't want to take in too much heat if you have diabetes because of the fact that diabetes is a heat wasting disease, disharmony. That's why people are thirsty all the time. That's why you're peeing all the time, because of the fact that you got so much heat in your body. When that sugar, that glucose doesn't go into the cell, it creates heat. And that heat, this is from a traditional Chinese perspective. And that heat then begins to cause all of the other kinds of things that's going on in your system. But that's the reason you're thirsty. That's the reason sometimes you can't sleep. You got too much heat. That's why your wounds won't heal. Your wounds won't heal because of the fact that, first off, your body's so acidic. Second, your body's full of heat. If you begin to cool off the body, that's what you have to do. And that's what I teach people, is how to cool off the body so that the body then begins to recognize that, yo, this glucose needs to go into these cells, and the cells open and allow it in. Digestive enzymes. That's the first thing I tell everybody to get, digestive enzymes. Not papaya, because that only breaks down protein. You want digestive enzymes, enzymes that break down amylase, protease, lipase, sucrase, and maltase, which are sugars, starches, and fats. You also want to make sure that you got probiotics, because the small intestines plays a large part of how that diabetes is going to happen. And if your abdomen is distended, you definitely want to take those, because that's saying that I'm going to be nice. Because the thought just came to mind. I was like, no, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. If your if your abdomen is distended, that means that your bowels ain't moving. And I don't care if your bowels move 3-4 times a day. If your abdomen is distended, you're full of shit. Basically, you know what I mean? But that's how you get rid of glucose. Then put this in your hat and wear it. What does the sweetness of your life look like? And can you identify what sweetness is? See, because we're talking about sweetness here. See, and we got to deal with it also on a psychological piece. What does that sweetness look like? How does it feel? Can you identify it? Because if you can't identify it, then that could also be a part of your diabetes. We got to deal with the emotions of it. Are you pissed off and angry? Are you oversympathetic? Because those things begin to work with the organs and work in such a way where the organ is either going to function or not function. Because it's a disharmony. In medical science, they call it a disease. We call it a disharmony. Because all you got to do is figure out how to put the harmony back into your body. When you put the harmony back into your body, what happens? What begins to happen is that now your body will function to its optimum. But that's what that is. I mean, and it's interesting because now medical science is talking about reversing diabetes. There was a point when they said, "No, you can't reverse it. You got diabetes, you're gonna always have it." And now they're saying, "Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, there is a possibility." What? Yeah, you can reverse it.
It can be reversed.
Yeah, see, because it's nutritional deficiency syndrome. If you start to put in the right nutrients, the body will respond positively. This is what I say to your diabetics that's listening. Anything that has sugar in it, whether it's a carbohydrate, whether it's right out sugar, take it out of your eating habit. For 4 weeks, because if you come to my program for 4 weeks, the protocol is that you're going to eat green vegetables. Morning, noon, and night. Why? Because you want that chlorophyll. See, what the chlorophyll is going to do is the chlorophyll is going to go in and begin to create the balance that the cells need in order for them to snatch that glucose. See, because the chlorophyll is alkaline. And so that alkalinity is going to go in and create what is needed in order for that cell to function. Chlorophyll is very powerful, very powerful. Chlorophyll helps the hemoglobin. It helps the cell, it perforates the cell, it cleans the cell. When you do my program on diabetes, we deal with chlorophyll. Matter of fact, one of the classes I talk specifically about chlorophyll. That's our bodies won't photosynthesize, but plants do. That's why we get oxygen from them. That chlorophyll is oxygenation. So when you put that into your body, it oxygenates your cells. And when it begins to oxygenate your cells, it then begins to clean the cell. And so not only will it clean the cell, but it'll help you clean your mind.
What about people who don't like eating green foods? Could they just drink chlorophyll, the supplement, and drink it?
Sure. But they'd have to also supplement other foods. You got to change your entire eating habit. This ain't about no diet. I don't deal with diets.
Right. Yeah.
Because I ain't dying, and I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
You gotta change your entire eating habit. When my book came out, And my book's been out now about 10 years. Columbia University up in New York got a hold of it. Professor, she got a hold of it. And they invited me to their conference to present information on diabetes. They then videotaped that and put it on YouTube. You can find that on YouTube. I even think it's on my website. Diabetes, this book came out of my thesis for my PhD because of the fact that in our community, diabetes is running rampant. We eat too many soft drinks, and understand the word soft drink. Understand what that means. That means that whatever you drinking is too soft for your body to handle. We drink too many, I think it's called Red Bull, them energy drinks. Yeah, them energy drinks is dangerous. People don't realize that you're not supposed to be drinking stuff that's going to give you energy like that. You're supposed to get energy from your food.
Exactly.
You're going to take a glass every 2 hours. So I'm going to drink this here and I'm going to stay up. And your body looking at you like, this damn fool, they don't know what the hell is, why the hell you putting that shit in me?
So why the people of color is having the biggest problem? When I did the research, it was African Americans at the top, Latinos second, Native Americans third, and Europeans or Caucasians is at the bottom when it comes to type 2 diabetes. I mean, if we eating the same food, I guess this is truly a fact that we're not built the same.
We're not. You see that? You see that? That black dot? That black dot says that we can't eat the same foods that they eat. That's what the black dot says, which is that melanin. Our body structure isn't like theirs. That what's it called? Index that they put out. What's it called? It's in there. I can't get it out. It'll come to me. But the index that they put out that talks about if you weigh certain amount of mass index, if you weigh certain amount, then that would say that you're in good shape. If you weigh another certain amount, that say that you're overweight. And if you weigh another certain amount to your height, you're obese. That chart wasn't made for us. If we understand the body types of the continent of Africa, the Caribbean, we would see that our body type is different than the Europeans over in Europe. And our bodies won't tolerate certain things. There was a research, there was a piece that I saw when I was doing my research where it said that the slaves did not get very sick until they came off the farms. So we were eating foods that were nourishing to us. Now we're eating foods that are not, and we don't know how to eat. So if you're a meat eater and you get you a steak and you get the steak well done, it ain't digesting. But if you get a steak and you have it rare and you put butter on it, butter becomes the enzyme. What happens is that you then get the B12 and other nutrients from that piece of steak. We eat foods wrong. Vegan. Vegan is a wonderful thing. It really is. It may be one of the things that's causing diabetes to you. Because your blood type, you gotta understand your blood type. You gotta understand your blood type. If you have diabetes, you need to understand your blood type, because not only may you be eating junk foods, but you may be eating foods that's not healing your body because of the factor that you're following somebody's diet. You got to understand the factor that you're an individual, you're a chemist, and the foods that you put in your face is chemistry. And so if you're eating that chemistry, you got to understand that either that chemistry is going to do one or two things. It's either going to work for you or it's going to work against you. If your bowels are not flowing, or if you go in there and have a bowel movement and it stink, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So when you start looking at really dealing with and breaking down diabetes, whether it's type 1, type 2, gestational, you got to look at the factor of what are the chemical reactions that's happening in your body. That's the basis of it. There's no other basis of it. What are the chemical reactions in your body? How are you combining your foods? Are you eating foods in season? See, that's the other piece, because our ancestors, they ate foods in season. They didn't eat watermelon in the wintertime. They went watermelon in the middle of the summer when it was ripe. They didn't eat foods from foreign countries. Diabetes is because of the fact that your body is suffering from malnutrition. You're not getting what you need. Some of that anger that you have, depression, is coming from the fact that the foods that you're not eating, which is causing the diabetes, is now causing you to see that your life is not happy and you don't have no sweetness.
Because it's affecting the liver.
Because it's affecting the liver. Mm. And the liver then affects the kidneys. So now the spleen is affecting the kidneys and the liver is affecting the kidneys. So both of them affecting the kidneys. So the kidneys is your foundation of life. Your kidneys go, you die immediately. That's why kidney transplants are a little more difficult to maintain than hearts. And the kidneys have to deal with the heart because it helps the heart to circulate the blood. See, so the organs are in a network. And in that network, they all have a job to do that helps each other. So if you're eating carbs and you're eating carbs and you're diabetic, certain carbs you really need to stay away from: potatoes, white potatoes. A yam is a little different. And actually it's called a sweet potato, because a yam is much different than a sweet potato. If you're from the islands, if you're from Africa, you know what a yam is. The Europeans said, well, we're gonna call this a yam. And I was like, but this look like a sweet potato to me. But they're calling it a yam. But a yam is totally different. But they're starchy. So you need to stay away from those. You need to stay away from any type of carbonated water, because that's going to cause the blood to be acidic. You should stay away from fried foods, fast food restaurants. Matter of fact, you shouldn't eat out at all.
Wow.
Everything you cook should be at home. And if you use any kind of oil, it should be either olive oil, virgin, or it should be what's that oil they're using? I got to go through the Rolodex. I see it, but it won't come out. It'll come to me. But coconut oil.
Coconut oil. Okay.
Because what that coconut oil goes straight to the liver and helps the liver process. Go straight to the liver and help the liver process. You might want to drink some refined or I'm sorry, not refined, but some pure coconut water, because that's going to give you electrolytes. Not a lot of it. If you're drinking soft drinks, throw them out.
Oh, I say that all the time about the soft drinks, to get rid of them. Yeah.
Get rid of them. Buy you a juicer, and when you want something to drink, stick cucumber in there, carrot, beet. Stick one of them in there and drink that. You want to take in bitters because of the fact that bitters like hibiscus and sorrel. Now, let me say this, because I know when people take that sorrel, that sorrow is bitter as hell. And so the first thing they're going to run for is that sugar. You can't put no sugar in it. So you drink a little bit of it. That's going to help your blood. Celery. All of those things are going to help your blood. Because your blood determines your lifespan.
So one of the things I'm hearing here is when you look at type 2 diabetes, the biggest problem people have is controlling their mouth. Man, listen.
No, John. Let me just say that. You can go back to that in a minute. Let me just say, no, you're wrong. The biggest problem they have is controlling their elbow.
Because that's what keep bringing it to the mouth.
That's what keep bringing it to the mouth.
I mean, because this thing that we're talking about, specifically these foods that there are GMO and they're making today, are foods that are highly addictive.
Right.
And when you see these packaged foods and tater chips and all of these things and candy and all, when you look at ingredients and you see the sugar, and if you don't know how to put that down, a lot of people don't even read the ingredients when they buy stuff, first of all. But it seems like that these chemists done came into the food industry and and I mean, they done put some real heck on the food to where you are addicted and don't even know you are addicted because it feels good. So, I mean, when you think about a person that has to lose a limb, have to have something chopped off, have to sit around and poke themselves 2 or 3 times a day, that says that that's one hell of an addiction that you will continue to want to do that, opposed to changing your palate, changing the way you eat. I know a lot of people say they can't eat green food. They don't like green food, or they don't like the bitter. And actually, the bitter is good for the brain, first of all, because that's that understanding. But the bitter food and eating foods that are green, and so, that becomes the issue, that people drinking alcohol. People have a problem with stop drinking alcohol and not knowing that alcohol turns right into sugar. I mean, it really boils down to the lack of discipline. I mean, if you're looking at the cure, or if you're looking at healing diabetes, type 2 diabetes, the bottom line is the ability to have some discipline to stop eating the foods that are causing it.
Well, you're right in what you say, but the other piece you got to look at is the fact that people like comfort. And this gives them a comfort zone. And so they stay in their comfort zone. And in my program, we get into that comfort zone. Yeah. Because of the factor that everything that's in that comfort zone is here. And so you can't go no further than a square when you're in a comfort zone. And the manufacturers, what has happened is the factor that the reason people are addicted to these foods is because, first off, people like sweet foods. So everything that's manufactured basically has sugar and salt in it. So either you're gonna have diabetes, or you're gonna have hypertension. So when you start looking at the factor that those two elements are in all of the food, those are the two elements that create nutritional deficiencies. So you're eating these foods and you don't have any energy. What are you going to do? You're either going to get you one of them drinks that boost you up. You're going to get you some candy or some cookies, because of the fact that all you know, your body's real interesting, because your body will say, okay, so you want to go across the room? Cool runnings. But you need to give me that cookie and that muffin. I'll take you across the room. You eat that, you got energy. You're the road runner for 20 minutes. After that 20 minutes, you're down again, because of the fact that burned up just that quick. If we got rid of all of the fast food restaurants, all of them, and people started cooking food at home more, what would happen is the factor that I want to answer that question next. But what would happen is that you would not see diabetes, because people would be eating fresh foods that they put their own energy in. You eating food that you don't know whose energy is in it. The cat cooking it, he could have been pissed off. Whilst he's fixing your food, he could be cussing the waitress out. The person serving you, she could, this is not disrespectful to you women, she could be on her cycle. That energy is going into your food. Or the waiter has cancer, or he's got candida. Candida albicans, somebody asking about it. I'm gonna go through that and its relationship to diabetes. Its relationship to diabetes is the fact that candida is about sugar. Candida is worse than cancer to get rid of. Worse than cancer to get rid of, because of the fact that every time you eat a carbohydrate or use some sugar, it comes back. So it is a product of diabetes. And it's a bad product, because just like diabetes, it'll take your life, your eyes, your limbs, your heart, your blood. So when we look at diabetes, we have to look at the fact that if, this is what I say to people, if you're serious about overcoming diabetes, then the first thing you want to do is go to your cupboard and throw out all cans, all prepackaged things. Go to your refrigerator and get rid of fruit juices, fruit drinks, anything in there that's got artificial flavorings and additives and preservatives. And then bring fresh products into your home, mostly green vegetables, vegetables that are grown within the summer. Drink water. opposed to fruit juices, opposed to fruit drinks. If you drink coffee, drink that much coffee, black, no sugar, nothing but the coffee. Because the coffee is an herb. We don't realize that coffee is an herb, but we use it recreational. Coffee will help cleanse the body, but you only can drink that much of it. As an enema, it's been known, and this is medical science, you can look it up. It is known to help to reduce colon cancer. When we're talking about diabetes, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. You gotta deal with the sweetness in your life. Stop looking for it. Identify it. Bring it in and work with it. What you'll find is that the foods and things that you've been eating will change because you found what you've been looking for. You're eating sweets because of the fact that you haven't found what you're looking for. And so your body's confused. That's why your body won't uptake the nutrients. But if you begin to find what you're looking for in terms of what the sweetness in life is, what will happen is that you'll start dealing with reducing or eliminating that sugar. Did somebody really put that up? That's garbage. Yeah. You know, when we start talking about vitamin water and Gatorade and all of those kinds of things, you know, we're talking about money making items for industries. That's what we're talking about. You want vitamin water? Take a tablespoon of chlorophyll and drop it in a glass of water and drink it every day and see what happens. See what happens. Because of the fact that you'll have the nutrients that your body needs. Look on the back of Gatorade. Hold on a minute. Look on the back of Gatorade and see. I want to see. Let me take a look and see what's on the back of Gatorade. You know, because what we're talking about here is we're talking about, you know, what you're ingesting in your body. Okay, so what's the ingredients here? Let's see what we got. Hold on 1 minute. You know, I mean, come on now. You know, you gotta really take a look at let's see what's in Gatorade. Let's see what the ingredients is. It's coming up. Okay, so it says thirst quenching contains water, sucrose, table sugar, dextrose, sugar, citrus acid, natural flavors, sodium, table salt. Shall I go on? No. I mean, look at that. The first two ingredients is sugar. So no wonder you're drinking it and you're having problems. Sugar, we need sugar. Don't get me wrong. We need to have sugar. That's what glucose is. We need to get it from whole grains, our fruits, and our vegetables. We need to know how to eat in season, what to eat in season, what not to eat that's not in season. We need to understand how to combine foods. Food combining is powerful. And humans are the only animals in God's kingdom that don't know how to combine foods properly, and we don't know how to eat in season. Those are the major two things. The other piece to get rid of diabetes is first be able to balance your digestive tract. For all disharmonies, our biggest element of our body to get rid of anything that works to get inside the body is our digestive tract. Because of the fact that that's where we get our nutrients from. If we're eating foods and we're not getting nutrients from them, then they're not supporting the immune system, and the immune system is then not able to support the body. So that anything and anybody that come around the corner, you can get it. And when you have candida, you're in trouble, because that's an autoimmune deficiency syndrome. That's why when people send me their tongue for me to analyze it for them, two things that I look for. The first thing I look for is candida, and the second thing is how's their digestive tract. Because if you can put your digestive tract back together, you can get rid of diabetes.
Oh.
But the piece is that you have to work with that elbow and step out that comfort zone.
Now people who have protruded bellies, and they have not yet been diagnosed. Just because they have not yet been diagnosed, are they already diabetic?
Well, let's put it this way. They're working towards it, because of the fact that shows that they're suffering from malnutrition. See, malnutrition, we used to think, and they used to have us thinking that, and they still do, that malnutrition was the little children that we saw in Africa who had big bellies. Well, that is malnutrition. That's a form of it. When your abdomen is sticking out and you eating every day, that's malnutrition.
And so that is because they're eating foods that the cell don't recognize, and yet they stand hungry for real nutrients, but they're not giving it real nutrients. That's why I guess people who are overweight continue to eat, and you be like, damn, you just ate. Why are you eating again? And it's because they're lacking eating the foods because their body's craving for nutrition. Say, hey, give me some nutrition, and you eating cupcakes and Twinkies and donuts, and the body's saying, hey, this ain't what I want, so I'm gonna stick it over here in the butt, I'm gonna stick it over here in the ankle, and we'll deal with that later. Right now, give me some nutrition, and you go back and eat some more Twinkies, you eat some more donuts, and now your body is getting ready to have a breakdown.
Right. And the same thing happens with vegans and vegetarians. Even though some of them, even though now I know some vegans, whose bellies popped out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know some vegans that's about that thin. Mm-hmm. Okay, that thin. And so both of those show that you're still not getting nutrients, because if you're a vegan and you're eating a lot of carbs and you're craving a lot of natural junk food, that's an issue. That's also an issue that could take you towards diabetes. That's why I tell people, understand your blood type, because of the fact that if you're a vegan and you're not supposed to be a vegan, then work within the compounds of eating the vegetables and all the things that a vegan would eat. But when your body say, yo, I need a piece of fish, go get the fish. You ain't got to eat that fish every day, but your body's asking you for it. That's why you have sugar cravings. Why people think they have sugar cravings? They have sugar cravings because the body say, yo, check this out. I need that sugar. And what you do, you go right over there and you get that sugar and say, The body say, yeah, ain't it good?
Man, that's powerful.
No question. You know, I mean, why you think we just talked about Gatorade. Gatorade has water. Gatorade has water, sucrose, and dextrose. 2 sugars. First up. And so they're saying, yeah, we're going to give you the sugar because we know that's what you want. You ain't getting no other minerals. And sugar washes out the B vitamins that have to do with your central nervous system. It has to do with your brain. It has to deal with the factor of your cognitive behavior. It has to do with the factor of your peripheral and anatomic nervous system. You know, when you start talking about Parkinson's disease, yeah, you're talking about B vitamins. Okay. When you start talking about multiple sclerosis, you're talking about B vitamins. When you're talking about breaking down carbohydrates, you're talking about B vitamins. So you got to put the B vitamins in there because of the factor that the sugar's taking them out of there. Men, sugar taking zinc. We just did a piece on erectile dysfunction. So if it takes that zinc, that means that now it's going to affect your prostate and it can affect your erectile dysfunction. Diabetes, erectile dysfunction. Why? Because of the factor that your body's not getting nutrients, so now your kidneys are not supporting your reproductive system, and your reproductive system isn't getting the nutrients that it needs. So now you ain't standing up to the pleasures that you want. Mm. You see, I mean, so when we start looking at that, we start looking at the factor that your basest weapon is your digestive tract. Your second basis is the foods that you eat. Now, the small intestines, let's talk about that a little bit. Because what's poking out is your small intestines. That ain't your stomach. The next time the doctor tell you that's your stomach, tell the doctor to stop lying to you. Your stomach is like right over here, okay? Or for women, it's right under there. It's right there by their left breast. And for men, it's right on the left side of our chest. Down in your belly, that's your small intestines. The small intestines, you're always going to hear me talk about that because people don't understand this. Small intestines is on one side, it's a garbage dump. On the other side, it's where we get our nutrients. And if you got too much garbage down there, not enough nutrients, not enough healthy bacteria down there, what happens? What begins to happen is that now your belly starts to swell. So now your belly swelling is swelling because of the fact that you got yeast, you got putrefaction of the foods and fermentation. And so you got both of those going on. And when you fart, you know, and I know you done fart. I know we all done farted, and that smell just hit us in the face, and we try to run from it, and it seemed like it get in front of us. You know, you be like, damn, I thought I left that back there. You know, that what you're smelling is you're smelling methane. You're smelling sulfur and methane together, and you're smelling the putrefaction and the fermentation that's going on within your small intestines. So you're smelling rottenness that's happening in your body, that's dripping into your blood, that now is causing your pancreas not to function. So that so with your pancreas not functioning, now what happens? Now what happens is that now your body's not getting the energy that it needs in order for it to function. And so because it's not getting that energy, now it's in a state where your body's going to need something to help it to maintain the balance of your energy. And, you know, diabetes, because of the factor of what it is, could be a possibility for women's fertility issues. See, you also got to understand that diabetes can be linked to thyroid issues. Thyroid has been linked to fertility. So the body's a unit. Just in Western medicine, they don't look at it as a unit. And I'm not beating up on Western medicine. I mean, I'm just telling the truth about what it is. It doesn't look at the body as a unit. Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine, African medicine, everybody looks at it as a unit, except for Western culture. Now, that's why we have so many specialists.
On acupuncture, what role would acupuncture have to help to heal diabetes?
So as an acupuncturist, the first thing I would do is cool the body off. As I said earlier, it has to do with fire. So I would cool the body off. I would cool the body off by using maybe 4 points. One for the stomach, the digestion. One for the spleen. In Chinese medicine, we don't look at the pancreas, we look at the spleen. One for the spleen. One for the heart, because we need to get the blood circulating. And then a couple for digestion in the bowels. What acupuncture does is it goes in, and the first thing it does is starts to cool off the body. The second thing is it starts to get rid of dampness. Dampness. What is dampness? Dampness is like a rainy day or a day when it snows and you got snow everywhere and it's drowsy and it's heavy. That's dampness in the body. When you have swelling in your ankles, you know, when you have edema or edema, which is swelling, that's dampness. So we would get rid of dampness, and especially if the abdomen is protruding. There's a piece that I do that's for digestion, that I put needles in the belly in several different places to make it so that the small intestine starts to function. So with acupuncture, you would begin to work on those so that the acupuncture begins to get the body to regulate itself. See, because the body is a self-regulation element. It's just that you have to understand how to get it to regulate. The other one would be in the liver. Because see, the liver stores the blood and the liver detoxifies the blood. So I would get the liver to function in such a way where the blood would cool down, and I'd cool it down from the liver. One of the points would be on the leg, which cools blood. The other would be on the feet. There'll be 2 of them on the feet. There'll be 3 of them on the ankle. I said 4, huh? I'm going through my head now looking at the protocol I would use. So I'd be dealing with the kidneys because we want to balance the fire and the water. The left kidney is the water. The right kidney is the fire. So we want to balance the kidneys. And so we would do the liver, the kidneys, those 2 for the kidneys. Then we would do Senyan Jiao, which is a stomach point. We would do stomach. And on the legs, I would do stomach on the abdomen. I would do a point that sits right here called byway, which helps to disperse anything that's in the head, but to pull everything up. I would deal with some points in the back, so that what these points did was they worked on the organ network, so that the organ network would start to balance itself. Then I'd put them on a protocol of eating, and then I would teach them points that they could use their finger to work on. So that what happens is, and in the diabetes course, I teach you Tui Na. Tui Na is traditional Chinese body work. It's the foundation for chiropractics, osteopath, massage therapy, and all of the body work we see. That element that they got out called tapping, yeah, that's GFA. That comes out of that system. But I would teach you points, and I would teach you how to use those points to help bring your blood sugar level down. So it is a great element for the body when you start talking about it from a Chinese perspective.
Mm. Okay, well, definitely we have touched everything on my notes. Again, if you have any questions, please get it in, and we're getting ready to close out in just a few minutes. But man, this was a great build. I hope that everyone got good information out of here. Is anything we missed that you want to? I feel like we touched everything.
Yeah, we did. We had to look at. We people should look at the factor of you know of the sweetness in their life. Where is their life at this particular point, and are they satisfied as to where they are, especially if they have diabetes? They should look at the factor of how their organs are functioning, and are their organs functioning to its optimum. Then they should look at the fact of, especially if they're younger than 50. Now you need to look at the fact of what your life going to be like after 50 with diabetes, so that you have an idea of how you're going to be feeling. Because when you get to be 60, 70 years old, and you have diabetes, and the cells have not been producing in the manner that they should for all of those for 20, 30 years, your body, you're going to lose more energy than you're losing now. Because the more that the older we get, the less digestion that we have. The digestive tract begins to decline as we age. That's why a lot of the seniors, the elders, they wind up having to take stool softeners because of the fact, first off, they're eating garbage. But the second part of that is the fact that the digestive tract isn't functioning. And so because the digestive tract isn't functioning, that means that the food they're eating isn't breaking down. And so now that means the bowels ain't happening. Your bowels should move every day, and there should be no odor. And they should be free flowing. I mean, so those are some of the things I would take a look at. I would take a look at some of the things that I talked about. I have the course coming up. If you're interested in the course, you can go to the website, or you can give me a call, and we can discuss it. If you want to set up an appointment, the way I'm doing appointments virtual is that you got to send me 4 pictures of your tongue, and all I want to see is your tongue. Not being disrespectful, but all I want to see is your tongue, and not your face. And that's because of the fact that if I have to blow the tongue, if I have to enlarge the tongue, then it can distort, and I couldn't, and it's not going to give me the reading I'm looking for. And then I'd like one picture of your face with your mouth closed and no glasses. That way I can look at your face and see what's going on. I also got a program getting ready to come up on evaluating your tongue, to teach you how to take a look at your tongue and determine what's going on in your body. Because we have to begin to learn self-care. See, one of our biggest issues is that we allow, and I tell my patients this all the time, we allow for physicians to take over our life with our medical. And the reality of that is that you are the doctor, you just not the physician. Because when you go into the physician's office, you have to tell the physician what's going on with you, even though you put it on a sheet. The reality of that is the fact that then the physician gives you suggestions and recommendations for you to do. And with those recommendations, then what happens? Then what happens is you either carry out the recommendations that they give you, or you don't, or you modify them to the way that you want them to deal with. But you are the doctor. You see, so you need to be able to take your entire body into your hands, so that when your physician makes a suggestion, one, you have questions for them that will put you in a different category. you'll have a better understanding of what to do to maintain the balance of your health, and you'll be more enthusiastic about your life. So, I mean, that would be my recommendation as we close out. The desire to heal begins with you loving you. And if you don't stop eating them donuts, them what they call them, twisters or hoagie bowls or whatever it is that
Twinkies and ho-hos.
yeah, all of them kind of things, and that Mac the Night over there, or at the Arches, and the fried and that fried piece that come out that pop out of sailor head, all of that kind of stuff. I said, if you don't stop eating that, then you can't think about winning. It's interesting because there's a restaurant called Popeyes. And I remember growing up as a child, Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yes.
And what did Popeye eat? Spinach.
Yes, he did.
He didn't eat no fried chicken. He didn't eat no shrimp or script. He didn't eat none of that. He broke open that can of spinach. He got the muscles and he was gone. That tell you something.
He knew something.
Huh?
I said he knew something.
He knew something. Whoever created that knew something about what was supposed to make you healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
And people need to add those green vegetables into their eating habit.
Definitely.
Go to my website. You can pull off the information about the foods for each season. Yeah. You can find some other things on there that may help you. You can make an appointment. You can take a class, or if you need to call me, you can call me, and we'll see where that goes. But the thing is, this is the major thing that your audience should take away from this. If you have diabetes, if you have a family member that has diabetes, the first thing that you want to do with that diabetes is evaluate what you want to do with the diabetes. Whether you want to keep it, and that's fine, or whether you want to get rid of it. If you want to get rid of it, then that means that you have to change your behavior. If you don't want to get rid of it, keep doing what you're doing. It's going to do one or two things. It's either going to stay where it's at or it's going to get worse.
Yes.
I mean, it ain't going anywhere else. But if you decide that that's what you want to do to get rid of it, then you have to change, and you have to greet the change with open arms. No matter what the change is, you have to greet it with open arms and start to deal with that. Because the first thing you got to do in terms of changing is change your eating habits. Start taking supplements, that kind of thing. When you're doing that kind of thing, that works. That'll start to, you'll see improvement. And what will happen is you'll see that if you're craving sweets, you'll see them sweet cravings go away.
Okay, so plugging your class. When is the class? What's the date and the time?
So the class starts on the 15th of July.
Okay.
The introductory level is 4 weeks. It's from 7 to 9 on Thursday evenings for 4 weeks. Over the 4 weeks, you'll get introduced to balancing your digestive tract, understanding acid-alkaline balance, the value of carbs, fats, which are lipids. You'll learn points on your body that you can use. And you'll learn a protocol of how to move away from diabetes. And so there'll be some things that you'll have to do at home on your own. I also talk about it from a psychological position. because that change. If you've had diabetes for 20 years, it ain't like you're gonna just change overnight. It just ain't like it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but most people that ain't working. So it gets to be a slow grind. So we work with how we got to do that, so that your psyche, you know, and it could be one day at a time. But it's work. It definitely is work.
Well, okay, brother, I appreciate you on this build, man. This was great information. I encourage everyone who either has diabetes or working with it or have a family or a loved one, get into this class. Go to healingarts.net, www.healingarts.net. Get in the class, sign up for it, or even, like he said, set up a consultation with him to help you reverse and turn that life around, because it's extremely important. It's just not worth living in that lifestyle. You just can't continue to do that. So definitely, Doc, appreciate you building with me on this subject, bringing this information to everyone. And definitely, I hope everyone received it. Again, this information is free. It is being handed out to you because of love and care. Do the same by showing us your love, by giving us a like, sharing, thumbs up on all the social media platforms that we are working with, so we can continue to bring you this information. Again, appreciate you, Doc. Great
Thank you.
deal. And see you next time, brother.
All right. Thank you. Be well. Enjoy your life as you peacefully walk in health and love somebody.
Peace, brother.
Peace.